nobody talks about the bright side of a cancellation. Right? So when you get cancelled for 2 years, the downside is there's no money and there's no work. The good side is you have time to ideate. Right? So basically, the next 3 years of my life is everything I thought of in the 2 years that I was unemployed.
Because it feels like you're making up for lost time on multiple fronts, fiction-wise, comedy-wise, across the board. Veer, I truly cannot think of a better way to end the year by talking to one of my favorite artists. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, man. It's always fun to see you because you get it. So it's nice.
No pressure. I wanted to have this conversation to talk about just how unproductive and lazy you are.
All right.
So I'm just going to sort of list out the last few months and the next few months of your life. Please correct me if I'm missing anything. In the last month, you've released your memoir, The Outsider.
Yeah.
You've been touring with your new show, Sounds of India. Your other new show, Hey Stranger, marks the first time an Indian comedian has had a residency at New York's prestigious Lincoln Center.
Yeah.
I'm not fully sure what that means, but it sounds cool as hell. Next year, Hey Stranger will tour the world, Sounds of India will tour India, and then you will swap them.
Yeah.
Your new film, which you co-directed and starred in, Happy Patel, releases Jan 16th. You have another fiction show which you've made, which you said you will drop on YouTube soon, which we will discuss. Not to mention the, I'm guessing, 50 other things that you have up in the air that are not even announced. So, am I missing anything? And have you always been this lazy?
The way to think about it is, nobody talks about the bright side of a cancellation. Right? So when you get cancelled for 2 years, the downside is there's no money and there's no work. The good side is you have time to ideate. Right? So basically, the next 3 years of my life is everything I thought of in the 2 years that I was unemployed.
Which is clearly a lot.
Yeah, I was sitting on my ass in Goa with nothing to do.
Because it feels like you're making up for a lot of, for lost time on multiple fronts, fiction-wise, comedy-wise, across the board.
Yeah, but also, I really got lucky in that when I was in Goa, it was right after the pandemic.
Yep.
And nobody really knew when things will start shooting, when things will start taking off, etc., etc. So a lot of people were very keen to collaborate. So at that time, I was like, I've made some money. Let me invest it on the chance that I ever have a career again, that I'll have ideas to out the gate. And I think I got access to a lot of collaborators at a price point cheaper than, because none of us knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So a writer who was probably going to charge 20, 30 lakhs to co-write something with me was now available at 10 lakhs or 15 lakhs. And we got to do that with each other. So I put a chunk of money down on my ideas in that time.
So I imagine a very scary time for the world, but an interesting, exciting time to create art.
Yeah, and it was nice to, because at some level, even the writers who I was writing with were like, I don't know if this guy's ever going to make it back to a career, and I don't know if this is ever going to happen. So yeah, let's just write with freedom.
Yeah, which is
the way to write, right? Because there's nobody's attaching themselves to this guy's ship right now at all. So then we wrote some pretty cool shit,
Speaking of writing cool shit, I wanted to start with the book. You've said in an interview that you did not want to write a book, and your agents in the US, pushed you to do it or convinced you to do it, and you said you'd only do it if you could talk about failure, which is rare. And that's sort of a theme that runs through the book a lot. The idea of wanting to talk about failure. You keep referencing how you don't want this to be an arrogant memoir, which I liked. You end each chapter with a little nugget of when you've been kicked on your ass.
Grounding, yeah.
So why was that so important to you to sort of show both sides of the journey of an artist? Because there are so many achievements as well.
I think because this will sound arrogant, but I think I figured out who my audience is.
Yeah.
In that I think there's comedy that you love to see. And then there's comedy that you maybe see yourself in.
Okay.
Right. So I don't think I'll ever be like, my God, I want to be that guy. Oh my God, this guy's such an idiot that I see part of my life in him.
Okay.
Seems to be the tone of my comedic voice. Oh, he's lost as I am seems to be the tone of my voice. So I was like, if I wrote a book that didn't capture that, what the hell was the point? Yeah. And really a memoir is only a way to reconnect with the people that come and see you.
Yeah.
Because as opposed to everything else which is slightly larger, a memoir is for your people. You know what I mean? It's for your community.
I wanted to ask you if I was a fly on the wall watching you write this book, what it would look like. Because there are some very funny stories, of course, there are some massive achievements, there are some very difficult stories. You've talked about bullying in the past, but when you read it, it's very, very difficult. It's very violent. You've talked about your parents and the hardship they've faced financially, etc. So I imagine it's a very strange experience emotionally to revisit all this stuff.
Yeah, I don't recommend it.
But so if I was
Being honest.
watching you write it, am I going to see you laugh at the funny stuff? Do you feel emotional, or is it sort of very internalized?
It's a fight.
Yeah.
Internally, it's a fight. Like, there's a bit in the book where I talk about being hit with a hockey stick about 15 times. Right now, I have a stand-up bit about it, which is hilarious. Right, which is I have Nike signs on my ass and etc. because it's a wooden hockey stick. So and that's very funny. But if you ask me, my most visceral visual of that, it is blood on grey woolen socks. So blood trickling down my legs into grey woolen socks. And then if you ask me what people saw, it's 50 kids in a dormitory looking at the kid who won't shut up. And then 50 kids making eye contact with the bully. And the bully kind of realizing he's lost the room. Even though I've lost the fight, he's lost power over this room at some level. So what should the paragraph be? Is the fight that you will have. If I just wanted it to be funny, it'd be Nike signs on my ass, iced my ass, I still can't feel my balls, something.
But it's real.
But it's real. So in a memoir, I wanted to kind of find a way to put all three in a little bit.
It really works, because I think you've sort of, through stand-up, being a fan, you have sort of referenced these things, talked about them, but to really get the full picture and the detail of just what a mixed bag it's been, culturally, geographically, and career-wise as well. I want to tell you what my big takeaway from the book is in terms of your career. One was just this idea about being a constant outsider, which I definitely related to, but also this idea of, in terms of your career, it feels like you're someone who's always been very good at creating opportunity for yourself or capitalizing on it when it presents itself. So I saw it as stand-up is you taking charge of your story, making things happen when maybe the world wasn't. And the other half is your acting career, where a lot of it is you realizing, okay, I've got an opportunity now, I've got some attention, let me ride that wave. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds that's how it turned out. That's not how it was planned. You're giving to say it was planned is too much credit. But I'm good at knowing what a moment is when I'm in that moment.
Okay.
That's all I really have.
Which has got to be rare, I'm guessing, for many artists.
I think so. I think a lot of artists are in a moment thinking, oh, this is outcome dependent, and here's where I want this moment to go. There's a moment in the book where I talk about, I got employed to come to Mumbai in one night. Right, I hosted the Times Food Awards, and I met Jackie Shroff, right, before the show, and he said 30 things to me that I'd never understood because I'd never seen a Bollywood star before. And then I did my first 5 minutes of jokes, and Aishwarya Rai came up on stage, and there's a paragraph in the book, but it's true. Like, I think there is upper biology in the world. You know what I mean? Like, there are people that God spent more time on
than the rest of us.
Than the rest of us. Aishwarya Rai definitely belongs in that category of people. And Aishwarya is like, you're really funny, man. Well done. And she kind of gives me a fist bump. In that moment, if you're present in that moment, okay, the universe is telling you to be undeniable right now. So don't hold back. So don't try and impress them. Everything you have in you, just put into this moment. So I was good at sensing that moment, and then that led to a job the next morning. So I did not plan to come to Mumbai. There was no grand plan, etc., etc. It's just being conscious of that one moment, saying, "Oh, time to shine," kind of a thing.
One of my favorite stories of you sort of being pragmatic and I guess taking charge of the moment is when you talk about wanting to make it as an actor and you sort of self-financed a professionally produced DVD and put all your money into it and put it in the DVD shop where you knew all the producers went to copy other films, which is such a sort of fun little hack that's very playful but very, very sort of smart as well.
Yeah, it got me Delhi Belly.
Yeah.
It went to an AD at Amir Khan Productions, and then Ador, who was casting it, called me because of it. And it's a shot in the dark. But
life comes full circle. You're now sort of starring and co-directing
for Amir Khan Productions. Yeah.
Before we come to the film, I did want to ask you, based on your journey, this idea of, you keep talking about always being lost, always being an outsider, and trying to just sort of take charge, even if the opportunities aren't coming, you make them yourself. Right now, it feels like in the current landscape, there are so many artists who are very lost. These are maybe established artists that are sort of, this could be screenwriters, actors, filmmakers, musicians, where they don't know what to do. There's, the landscape, the opportunities are fewer. There's just a lot of crippling uncertainty when you sort of read the news or whatever it is. What, in terms of the film industry, so what advice would you have for them? If I am an artist, I know my craft, maybe I've even had some opportunities, but right now the tea leaves are scaring me. What advice do you have?
I mean, any advice that I give, Suchin, won't be based on
Of course.
experience or success. It'll just be instinct, right?
Yeah.
So, I would say yes to a little life. I see a lot of artists who I know who are lost have spent time on a hamster wheel. So they've gone from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing, and now the things are starting to slow down and starting to shrink, and they don't know what to do. I have not been in a movie in 9 years. 9-10 years. That's a long time.
It'll be 10 years when the film comes out.
When the film comes out. Shiva was the last thing that I was in, right? And I took a conscious call to make this right and build this audience by myself. But in that time, I had time to say yes to a lot of life. So I've seen the world 3 times. I've had many personal beats. I've tried everything. I've tried every technology. I've eaten every food. I've done every adventure sport. So I've lived life. So when 2 years ago it came time to start creating projects, everything was life-based. Not just my notion of other people's lives based. I'd actually lived a lot of life.
Or is it fair to say not based on what's currently getting made, what the trends
What's currently getting made
or
or derivative of anything else. I just spent 6.5 years in the world. And so if perhaps my advice to someone would be, if you don't always assume that you're on a clock and that time's running out, etc., and give yourself a year to just be in the world, perhaps the script you write or the story you make after that will be far more, And having said this, I made a movie called Happy Patel, Khatarnak Jasoos, so who knows if I'm any good or not, but at least what I'm doing is life-based.
It sounds oddly similar to what you said about taking a break in the pandemic. Obviously, very different circumstance, but the idea of writing for freedom and not to the hamster wheel if you can afford it. Just coming to the film, correct me if I'm wrong, I just wanted to go through the journey of this film. You've been pitching this for 10 years, if I'm not wrong?
I wrote it 10 years ago, I wrote the story 10 years ago.
So what, and you said that when that came out, there was no reference point, there was no sort of spy universe, which ironically sort of might have helped. What has that journey been like of this film, and were you always planning to act and co-direct it?
Yeah.
That was always the plan from day one?
So the co-director, and he's my creative partner on everything, is Kavi Shastri. A very gifted actor as well. Kavi and I met as background extras on Love Aajkal. So if you look at the song Twist, Saif is in the center and Kavi is over here, and I'm over here. And we had no role in that movie. It was very much a Saif Deepika movie, right? And I think at some level they didn't know what to do with us on that movie. We were just these kids in London, right? And so at some point we did the song, and then after a while they were like, they're still here. Just take 5 steps back. So we took 5 steps back. Because we have no lines in this movie. There's nothing. And Imtiaz is lovely. He gave us one scene and all of that stuff, etc. And then the next day they were like, just take 15 steps back.
Just move out of frame.
No. So Kavi and I are bokeh, right? We are out of focus. But out of focus, while Saif and Deepika are talking about here, we are talking about Happy Patel, Khatarnak Jasoos.
Oh, wow.
So we came up with this idea then.
That's insane.
Saying, man, it'd be cool to do like a Johnny English. It's my favorite movie. It's your favorite movie. And then 3 years go by, and after Delhi Belly, we kind of put a story together. And everybody was like, what? Indian spy, working for MI7? How is this even this thing? And so I put it away. And Kavi and I went on to work on a bunch of different stuff. But then after the wars and the Pathans and and Razi and all of that stuff happened,
there was a box to put this in.
Yeah, what I didn't realize then is comedy is counterculture.
Okay.
This is culture, and comedy is going to be the counter of that culture. Comedy is counter to culture, maybe is a better way to put it.
Okay.
And the culture didn't exist, so the comedy was too early for it. And then one rewrote the entire movie
Okay.
because it was a little bit tropey back then. And so one really had to rewrite it from a story point of view.
And this is what happened during the pandemic. One of the things you were okay.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you what your references were for this, but Johnny English sounds like it was one of them.
Yeah,
Something that inspired
Johnny
you.
English is a big one of it, but it's also, it's a sweet movie. Like so, the logline: two gay British MI7 agents
Okay.
take a brown baby back to England with them because
Twitter's going to love this.
right? Because their house staff, who they love very much, get shot in the middle of a shootout. And so they take this baby back and they raise me as Happy Paisley. And I'm a really good chef. I make great sandwiches and I love ballet. But because my fathers are these two badass spies, I've tried and I failed the MI7 exam 7 times because really dance is in my blood. Spycraft is not in my blood.
He forgets the trigger.
He forgets the trigger, etc. And then there's a mission that comes up in Goa and MI7 needs to send somebody. So I'm taught to be Indian in 3 weeks. I'm taught Hindi in 3 weeks and taught to be Indian in 3 weeks based on Bollywood movies and everything they know about India because their India division shut down a long time ago and dropped into this kind of chawl in Goa.
There are so many things I want to ask you about the film and then what you just said, but I want to start with that. For all the spy talk, which is really, really fun, what stuck with me most from the release is the idea of sort of skewering NRI culture.
Yeah, sure.
And it's a very Veer Das thing that sort of you're looking at what the world perceives India as and sort of flipping that on its head.
Yeah, very much so.
Did people tell you maybe don't do the accent because you'll have to maintain it for an entire film?
The accent wasn't tough.
Okay,
I'm going to be
okay.
honest with you.
इन्फॉर्मेटिव टाइप का इन्फॉर्मेशन और कौन सा टाइप का इन्फॉर्मेशन होता है व्हाट द
Okay.
The accent, I can tell you who the two references are
Yeah.
for the accent, but my career will be over. So when the cameras cut, I'll tell you who my two references are. But it very much is a take on NRI culture,
Yeah.
but it is a take more on how Indians today see freshly shown up NRIs.
Interesting. Okay.
So if you notice, he's always getting it wrong.
Yeah.
And everybody's continuously pointing out that this is not, your entire training is wrong.
Yeah.
So it kind of pushes back against the foreigner savior narrative. It's
and also
a flip
just
on that.
looking at how the foreigner sees, which I loved. Just coming to the spies, what do you think it is about sort of spy spoofs or whatever you want to call them, Johnny English, all of those? What is it about a spy comedy that's so fun that we love so much about that subgenre that brings these two worlds together?
Because of stakes, no?
Okay.
The thing is, our tone of comedy on Happy Patel, as opposed to, let's say, in Austin Powers.
Yeah.
All right. Is in Happy Patel, nobody knows they are in a comedy.
Yeah.
In Austin Powers, everybody knows they're in a comedy,
Yeah.
which is also great. But Austin Powers is in the same vein as a Bhool Bhulaiya,
Yeah.
right? Or a Welcome. Everybody knows they're in a comedy. We play it straight. Very, very straight.
And often, especially performances-wise, those are the best comedies. Yeah.
So to play it straight, you need stakes to play.
Yeah.
And horror and spy provide a comedic actor with real stakes to play in that moment, which is why I think both those genres, from Shaun of the Dead to Spy Hard to Hot Shots.
Yeah.
Hot Shots, he's firing a chicken, man, but it's a action face while he fires a chicken.
Yeah.
So it gives you stakes.
Yeah.
So then the actor knows what to do also, and the audience feels invested as well. Like that's the toughest thing that Kavi and I had to do with this movie is across a cast of about 100 people to get everybody on a straight tone.
Because everyone wants to play comedy with a capital
Everybody
C.
wants to play comedy because the script is very outrageous.
Yeah.
The script is not like cool funny. The script is out there. It's absurd. Yeah. So to play that straight is a very interesting pivot.
I saw an interview recently of Seth MacFarlane talking about The Naked Gun, the recent reboot, which was really fun. And he said this was the biggest challenge he had with the studio, of telling them, I want actors, not comedians.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to sell it.
Yeah. Like Liam Neeson is, but what I loved about it is they really, like, sometimes I think a joke starts out as funny and then you can let it go here once you've hit a laugh. But if you keep going, you'll make the audience uncomfortable, then be like, what the fuck? And then they'll get irritated and then suddenly it's funny again. If you just commit to the full journey of it, it's really, really funny.
Yeah.
Right? So like, I think him and Pamela Anderson have a dream sequence.
Yeah.
Where they go to a lodge.
Which is that perfect arc you just
It's perfect arc, right?
Yeah.
So then they
snowman.
make love and they build a snowman. And you could let it go there, but then the snowman watches them make love. Snowman gets jealous. Snowman has a threesome with them.
Yeah.
Snowman is a villain. Snowman tries to kill them. And by the end, it's funny.
Yeah. It's very Family Guy. How far can I take this?
How far can I take this? Like on Happy, there's this shot where I'm carrying somebody that I've rescued, right? And so it's a big wide shot, right? And you just kind of see this little guy going, just kind of carrying this person across. And we really were like, we really want to hold this shot. And with Amir does like 25, 30, 40 test screenings on everything before he'll lock your edit, right? Hey, let us keep it in there, man. Just a really long shot. So you see the audience laugh, what the hell, quiet, and then suddenly big laugh at the end, which is what you want.
Really trusting the bit or committing to the bit. Is that
committing to the bit, yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned Amir, I have to ask you that. Him coming on board, this is not typically the kind of zone we associate with him specifically as an actor.
Yeah.
What was that pitch like of being in that room and sort of narrating this to him? And what's it like working with him as a producer? Are there any sort of specific sort of contributions or suggestions he made for this kind of word?
His sense of story guides everything. Yeah. He really is I've said this before, he's a lighthouse here. If whatever genre you are, you're kind of bhatkoing in your boat as an artist. And he's the lighthouse of story. Saying, forget genre, forget this thing, forget treatment, forget what is the story of this? Yeah. What is each character's story? And he understands that, I would say, like nobody else does. But the journey was quite simple in terms of, I'd done Delhi Belly. Delhi Belly came out 2011, I think.
Yes.
I hadn't spoken to Amir sir in 12 years. And then I called him up and I said, sir, I have a movie and if you don't make it, I don't think anybody will make it.
This is a few years ago.
A few years ago. About 2.5, 3 years ago. And then he said, yeah, come. No pressure, he laughed. And then Amog, who wrote it with me, we have a very practiced narration. So it's like you're watching a comedy sketch. So we did it. He thought it was funny.
Is that a tense narration? Because, I mean, if the laugh doesn't come, is that like a one-man stand-up show?
I try not to do a one-man narration.
Okay.
So I'll try and have 2-3 people in the narration, so they're all laughing. It's great. But a good narration doesn't really mean anything. Sometimes, dude, platforms call me in for narrations just so they can have 2 hours of a laugh and then, but no intention of making the thing ever, right?
That makes me respect them slightly more, actually.
Right? And it's like, all right, this, fix. Come back in 2 weeks. Yeah. Came back in 2 weeks with it fixed. And then he said, all right, go shoot a sizzle.
Okay.
So he's like, go shoot 5 scenes from your movie. Don't overly produce it. Shoot it on your cell phone. Don't light. Don't use makeup. I just want to see how you move the camera. Because he wanted to see if we could direct.
Yeah.
And if I could do the voice and and to see if what I had narrated in that voice actually worked as a character on screen. Because it's different just doing a sketch when you're narrating.
I'm guessing that must have been a really great process for you as well. Yeah.
Dude. And so I called up Advait, who directed Secret Superstar and who made Lal Singh. And I'm like, so I should just shoot this on my cell phone? And Advait is like, are you joking? Like, just like this is a directorial test. Yeah. Put everything into it. So we obsessed over it for 2 months. We called in friends. Yeah. And we took Habitat, the upper section, and we set up 4 different corners in Habitat and designed them to be 4 different rooms and shot the hell out of it, on a cheap camera and edited it. And then I think we waited 2.5 months for Amir's time. And then, you're obsessed with this thing and you're thinking there's going to be a massive discussion at the end of it, etc., which he is fabled for. Yeah. He saw it, and it was him alone in the room. He saw it, laughed. And he's like, all right, go on floor. Then I did one final narration when the script was locked, and we were cast. And then we met for production design. He just wanted to look at some visuals of spaces, etc., etc. And then I met him my final 2 days of shoot as an actor. And
His cameo was your idea or his?
it was my idea too. The character's amazing.
Yeah.
But, shoot your shot, man.
Yeah,
you know
of
what I mean?
course.
So you're in the room with Amir Khan. He's
Why not?
producing your movie at this point.
Yeah.
You're like, so I really think this is you.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, narrate it. So we narrated it, and then you get into that prep with him. And then we showed him the film, and we did all these screenings together. And the thing about that man is, so we showed him the film. He was quite happy with the first cut. And we got really panicked because I was around for the Delhi Belly first cut.
Okay.
And the Delhi Belly first cut took a while. From first cut to lock took a really long time because the first cut was in a strange shape. So I cut extra hard. And so I had removed 17 minutes from my film
Okay.
to show him the first cut.
17 minutes you wouldn't ordinarily want to remove.
Okay. But comedians are also about economy of words, right?
Yeah.
So we are better editors than
Yeah.
a lot of editors because we're always chopping, right? And he's like, yaar, तूने बहुत निकाला है, वापस डालो. So he was like, put everything back and show me the film in the second cut. So he made us put everything that we had cut out into it,
Which is rare
which
feedback.
is very rare feedback,
Yeah.
right? So then we showed him a second cut that was 14 minutes longer, and he retained 8 of those 14 minutes.
Oh.
So that was that. Then we did 30 screenings, 35 screenings, maybe, which is a very interesting gut punch of a process for the director. But
And you're looking for those laughs. I'm guessing that's the ultimate.
you're getting laughs.
Yeah.
But I've never seen a bona fide superstar approach a film in that sense, where you do the screening. It's not industry. It's not anyone who's going to tweet about your film. It's not anybody who's going to be like, oh my God, etc., etc. Phones are gone. Janta of different demographics. And then he'll sit down at the end, and he's there for every screening for this tiny film, on his massive slate. And he's like, all right, nobody's allowed to praise the film. So we don't want any good words, this and that. What's wrong? Tell us what's wrong with the movie, or tell us what you didn't like, or kya atka aapke liye, etc., etc. And you do that 30 times.
Difficult for you, but great for the film.
Great for the film, because then you go back into edit after that. That dictates your patchwork as well, which we had minimal. But I'm saying that's something I think film students do. You know what I mean? I would imagine at FTII or etc. But to see a superstar do that is very, very. I've never seen anything like it.
I interviewed Kiran Rao a couple of months ago, and she described this entire process. And she literally said that. She said that, you create that environment. She says, eventually, there might be forms, and there's that initial wave of maybe them saying what they think they should say, and getting the selfies. And once that erodes, the many hours of conversation that follows, that's where you get your real.
Yeah, bro. If you came into this thing with any airs of celebrity or whatever, etc., it's a punch in the gut for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And he opens it by saying, if you're a fan of me, or if you're a fan of Veer, don't worry about our feelings at all. And so you just sit there and you can like, come on, bring it. But it really helps.
But so this is obviously the test screening stage. You can get a lot of feedback from them. I'm curious to know, with a comedy like this, what does success look like when you're making it? Are you trying to make the other actors laugh? Are you trying to make the crew laugh?
No.
So how do you know a bit is working, and especially when you are directing yourself, you have a co-director, you are the lead?
Well, Kavi and I have a process which is really good.
Okay.
Again, no praise allowed between Kavi and me, because Kavi is the shepherd of my performance.
Okay. Unless it's earned, I hope.
Yeah, like he's kind of. So on Happy Patel, I'll dream it and I'll hand draw it. So I'll hand draw the film. So
You're doing
stick figures and everything. So I have 6 storyboard books that are filled with every frame of this movie. Then our DP is a guy called Hemant Dhamija. So there's a month with him just going through every storyboard and designing everything. And then I have an understudy who goes through the acting workshop with me and with the cast. So to them, he's just another cast member. So then Kavi and I can walk into the room. What we're shooting is blown up on thermocol. It's pasted there, so everybody knows what we're making. Rohan, who's my understudy, can do the shot one time with Mona and Sharib
Okay.
after our rehearsals, and I can watch it, and I can sign off on it, and then I never have to step behind monitor ever again.
So he's sort of, you're blocking through him. Is that,
I'm blocking
yeah,
through him,
Interesting. Okay.
and that's for every shot.
Okay.
Now, with Kavi specifically, of course, you want to, we really got lucky with a level of comedy players that are really good.
Yeah,
Like Sharib's a beast,
Yeah.
Shrishti Taude is a beast,
Yeah.
Mithala's a beast, Mona's a beast. These are our 5. So you want to treat them like ice cream. You don't want them to piglow, etc., etc. But for them, it's a weird thing where Kavi's like, Mona, it's lovely. Veer, sucks, do something else. And I like that because that means I can, I can
And you're
improvise.
trusting this person because you know he gets it. He knows. Yeah.
And he let me know when he has it.
Okay.
And then when he has it, we do one more.
Okay.
Just to play.
Okay.
And then there's no rules. But we're pretty tight on the script,
Okay.
until we have it.
I also wanted to ask you about control, because for someone who, in terms of laughs and comedy, it's you writing on stage, it's stand-up, it's the audience that could not be more personal. In something like this, you're working with a small army of people.
Yeah, sure.
The validation, the feedback comes after a year. So, and though you are a director, there's a lot in your control. You're also, a lyricist, actor, etc. But what is that process like? Of you have to sort of wait to really know if it's working, and by that logic, what brings the most joy in terms of writing, production, and editing?
I really enjoyed the collaboration here because stand-up's a very isolating art form.
Yeah.
So it's just you with your words in your head. So it's very nice to really learn from a bunch of people. Like if you, for some reason, because this script is so, it's out there, right? And hopefully, if we've made something decent, I think people latched onto it because they're like, good or bad, we're probably not making another one of these.
Yeah.
So for that reason, we all got a level of technician that we couldn't afford.
Yeah.
And who was like, oh, let's go do this crazy thing. So for instance, Parakriti, who does my wardrobe, is Sacred Games, right? So a very
She
different...
has range.
She has range,
Yeah.
right? But for her to be like, no, he should be dressed in these Indian... So everything that Happy Patel is wearing is a sari.
Okay.
All of my patterns are made from saris. And that, so I wouldn't know the first thing about something like that. Or Parth and Achint, who did Jigra's music.
Yeah. Achint has done so many excellent albums.
Right, so...
Scam is his, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, Scam is his as well.
Yeah.
Those are my music guys.
Yeah.
I'm also a musician myself.
Yeah. You've
So
written the lyrics and...
I've co-written the lyrics as well. And so I'm sending Parth a song about falafels, you know what I mean? And then we're kind of jamming together. But they take my shitty ideas and make it good. So it's very nice to surrender into other people.
Yeah. I also remember talking to you when we spoke 2 years ago about working with Judd Apatow, normal thing to say, where you were part of his film The Bubble, and you talked about how insanely interesting and exciting it was to be a part of that set, because the way you described it, he just casts these insanely talented comedic performance and just gets them to find the moment.
Yeah.
Not to say there isn't a script, but really just find. So did that influence you in this sort of film at all, in terms of just sort of finding great comedic moments with your fellow actors?
Yes, but it depends on the actor as well.
Okay.
Strangely enough, there's some actors who you can really go that range with. And there's some actors that you can't. And you want to keep them honest. Like Amir sir, you can go that range with. Like I remember his first day on set, because we're going to shoot with Amir last. Because we really want to have our shit together. We want to be a tight functioning unit, etc., etc. And you're imagining that the day he comes, 3 more vans will be required, etc., etc., etc. Amir Khan comes half an hour early and uses half a vanity van.
Oh, wow.
Of a double door, he uses a half of this thing with his entourage of everything that he takes care of. And I remember we're looking at monitor, and the shot is, he comes in, right? And there's just a wall, and you see him come around the corner, and he kind of looks at this thing, and then looks at my father's, and he's like, Paparts, your time has come, man. Right? So that's the entire line. Right? So Kavi and I behind the monitor, and he just kind of stands, he's like, Paparts, your time has come, man. and we cut, and we're like, sir, give us 30 seconds. But for 30 seconds, we're like, oh my God, that's fucking Amir Khan, right, on the monitor. So you're trying very hard not to fanboy.
Yeah.
You also realize in that moment that some people just have this thing that they bring onto a screen. There is this magical, ethereal thing.
You can see it in real time.
You can see it in real time. And you also have shot with an entire cast, including yourself, who do not have that thing. So when an Amir Khan shows up on set, but then we improvised with him at an insane level with our suggestions, and he was just super secure, etc., etc. On the flip side, there is an actor on my film called Bachchan, who was in Swades. And he is a very rehearsed, almost method theatre professional. So he wants to know. And so you just workshop more with that guy. So it just depends on the actor.
And finding what works for them.
Finding what works for them.
I want to also ask you about the spy of it all. You've said that the spy universe oddly might have helped enable this because people could put it in a box. A big theme of the trailer is also masculinity. You're sort of skewering the typical macho man. You even have a song that's sort of alpha man, if I'm getting it wrong. So was that always the plan, to really skewer what modern masculinity is? Because the flavor of the season is beards and biceps. And it's refreshing to have...
I have a beard and one tricep, but
But was that something that excited you, to try and flip that on its head? Because that's all we seem to be getting.
Well, the opening credits of the movie are me with long hair and a beard to a song called Main Hu Alpha Male, doing ballet and making a sandwich. My heroine slaps the shit out of me every time she sees me. We have an item song where I dance for the girl.
Item songs seem to really run in your career.
Do they? But I went from Ja Chudel to dancing for a girl, so maybe that's the arc. But I think a lot of it has to do with Mithila's character in the movie. It's a very strong character. So, but I don't know. I think a lot of masculinity is being able to do the things that Happy does in a secure fashion. And it goes back to your point of comedy is counterculture.
I was literally going to say that, because culture very much really is the slow motion beards and biceps. So I'm saying that, but
yeah, but I also think I do want to say this, like people watch the promo and they're like, Delhi belly vibes. A lot of people have said that. That's maybe 20% of our comments, etc. Yeah, but it's sweeter and it's sillier. Because when Delhi Belly came out, there was soft culture. We came out in a year of Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, and like I think Parinita had just come out, and Guzarish was, like in that time. So suddenly when we came out with all of these galis, it was edgy, quote unquote, for the time, right? We live in Patal Lok right now, you know what I mean? So we're not going to be edgier than that shit. The Mirzapur, Patal Lok, all of these movies are, just edgy as hell. So I think the counter to that culture is a little silliness and a little softness and a little sweetness.
That was very much my reaction to the trailer. We really need some silliness in life, and I mean that with the greatest sincerity. Speaking of Delhi Belly, the industry that this film is coming out, it's been 10 years since you've been on the big screen, is very different to the Delhi Belly age. It's very different to even sort of 2015. What do you think has changed the most? Because, what do you think has changed the most? Because there are a lot of sort of doom and gloom narratives right now. What do you think has changed the most because of just what you can and can't make on the big screen?
Suchin, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not the guy to, I haven't spent 10 years theorizing, or I'm not an insider, I'm just a guy with a crazy idea that, kind of took a punt and found an amazing lighthouse in Amir Khan. But I couldn't tell you what the waves and the patterns are, but in my limited experience, if you think it's fun and you really just follow that, sometimes it tends to be like, if market forces are to be believed, I shouldn't really have a career. If you think about it, there was no stand-up comedy scene when I came down to Mumbai, So everybody, 5 VJs told me to leave. They're like, bro, kuch nahi hone wala yahan par, right? Anything that I've ever been a part of that's cool, stand-up comedy-wise, or like, Goa Gone, there was never a zombie comedy before then. Delhi Belly, there was never that zone of this thing. So it just requires a few people who really think this is cool to band together, and it tends to happen. But market forces, who knows?
But just speaking of market forces, I really miss laughing with an audience in terms of films. And, the idea of comedy being an event or a pull, there's so much going against that. Oh, that's what people are saying. And that's why even the Naked Gun for Hollywood was this big moment.
Yeah.
Here we've had
Did it pan out?
From my understanding, it did decent. The problem is I'm always trying to understand, by my limited experience, what is the number with which you can send signals that people want more of this.
Okay.
So I think of Madgaon Express, it's a film, I'm a big fan of Kunal's film from last year. I don't know what that reception says to people about people really want comedy. And what we typically do get is the Households of the World, which I will say is just utter rubbish and lazy. But do you ever feel that you're the sort of the thing of, if this works out, this could really bring comedy back on the big screen? Because it really isn't very present.
I don't know.
No pressure.
I do think that there's only two genres that are really community watching experiences: comedy and horror. That's it. If you're going to go to a theater, go to it for comedy and go to it for horror, because that is a collective community experience. I think that's the only reason that Marvel movies work. Is because Marvel movies, when they were good, used to have this undertone of comedy.
They are comedies,
They are essentially comedies. And you were sitting and laughing at cool shit together in a theater. So, I mean, what the hell is the point of you sitting and laughing at home alone? Like my last special, I used to say that people don't watch a comedian. They listen to the audience. That's why you like stand-up. It's so that your laughter can enter my body and pass through, etc.
And I know the joy I feel when I'm surrounded by an audience versus watching something at home.
Dude, I remember watching The Hangover in the theater for the first time, and it was this amazing thing where we were like, what the hell is this? I would love for this film to do some version of whoever comes and sees it to create that for them. I do think at some level also funny is funny.
For sure.
Like we had 2 screenings of Happy Patel. It was just aunties. So it was just, I think, 29 ladies who you would see at a kitty party. You know what I mean? And it was a 4 p.m. screening. It's one of the loudest laughing screenings I've ever seen on this movie. And to Amit's credit, he tests different demographics at all times. Who knows?
I very much look forward to being in the theatre with that audience. I also want to ask you about marketing, which, as I was telling you, very rare to want to talk to someone about marketing, especially today. But I remember something Ryan Reynolds said before Deadpool came out, and he's one of my favorite comedic voices. He said that the marketing of the film was so fun because very rarely has he felt a campaign that's in line with the film. And he said, we just had a WhatsApp group, we were just trading these crazy ideas. This looks immensely fun, from everything you've put out. Is that the same here? Are you just enjoying this? And are you guys just trading, what can we do? Can we do this? Is this?
Yeah, it's okay. I think if you figure out what works for the film, that should be reflected in the marketing. The film uses a very clear Gene Wilder to Ben Stiller formula, which is he just can't win. Right? That's what makes a great Ben Stiller movie, right? Till the very end of the movie, this guy just loses and loses and loses.
And it's a joy to watch.
And you think it's going to be a non-loss, and then, so I think that dictates the marketing of this movie. That's what makes Happy Patel an endearing character as well. Is he comes to India and he gets the shit beaten out of him at all times, in metaphorically, culturally, physically, etc., etc. So with the marketing, I think that's the aim. Is to show you, I'm the fall guy.
It works because, again, I'll speak for myself, I can't speak for other audiences. Very rarely do you see, I think it works for cool and comedy, something like this where you're like, this person gets it. Even with the promotions, there is an alignment of what everyone thinks is funny. I also wanted to ask you about the small screen for a second. For streaming, something we talked about last, 2 years ago, which was there's a fear of funny on streaming. That is another place where it's always comedy plus something. You can layer something with comedy, but there is a fear of that. You've talked recently about a show that you made, and you are considering releasing it on YouTube now. Is it still the same case that you have these platforms who are either afraid, or it's, again, you can't make comedy by committee? Is that still the current landscape?
I don't, well, the last thing I did for a platform was a Netflix special, right? And that I didn't get any notes because that's, we have a deep relationship there. But fiction-wise, this new show that I'm doing on YouTube, I didn't pitch it to a platform, to be honest, because I was just like, there's no way I'll get to make this. Now, that comes from a privileged point of view in that I can keep it low cost and I can greenlight it myself. Not everybody gets to say that. And if I lose the money I made on it, fair enough, it's a write-off for having, done something I really enjoyed. I equate it to like Better Life Foundation.
Yeah, I love that show.
Where it was just 4 or 5 people who genuinely thought the other person was funny. But in a weird way, I think platforms also resonate to audience voices. Like we were talking about my COVID special. It's something I've shot on a HD camera and put out on a website, and 8 days later Netflix called and said, yo, we enjoyed it, let's go. And it wound up on Netflix. Yes, the pandemic created a demand for all kinds of content because everybody was locked.
But it's still one of my favorite things you've done. It was incredibly personal at a very difficult time.
So I think here, maybe that's the journey for it. But also I think comedically, I don't think anybody can compete with YouTube. Do you know what I mean? That's just where it lives. YouTube does that. Like for discovery, and I want the show to be discovered, YouTube's the place.
I do think, I was thinking about this recently, I do think YouTube is going to take off again because for comedy specifically, I felt that sort of early streaming in India, 2015, 2016, had some really great stuff, a lot of it on YouTube, like Better Life Foundation, and platforms were taking a punt. Now, obviously, it's going the other way. And I do feel we're going to see some really interesting things back on YouTube. Because so many people have cool ideas, and if they're able to enable it, and they're fed up of the powers that be saying you can't, then I think it's going to be a very interesting time.
Well, I just do think that YouTube will need to find a way for artists to monetize their stuff without being under pressure to constantly churn. YouTube also has the churn pressure, where really the only accounts that get traction are people who are like weekly videos, but let's say you want to put out a 6-part series on YouTube and your channel isn't a weekly video channel, what do you do? Like my YouTube is not active at all, but sometimes I wonder for a new film when you're launching your trailer, if you just started a YouTube channel for the trailer of your film, the algorithm really is working against you. The odds are very much against you. You're better paying like a really big YouTube guy to put your trailer on there rather than your own film's channel. So I think that shit has to get figured out a little bit.
Which is ironic because, as I said, right now, from a creative freedom perspective, YouTube is a very exciting place. And I mean, there's a lot of talk about how much they want to be sort of a Netflix. And so you'd think they'd want to do more to enable sort of great fiction.
I'm sure they will. I'm new. Everything that I did this year is new. I've never written a book before, never made a YouTube series before, never made a film before, never done a 3-series special before, and Sounds of India and A Stranger are all new shit. So I don't know, I'm learning.
As a fan, we are very much happy with that. Do you ever track or watch sort of other things on streaming that passes for comedy? I mean, I think the only notable example from this year was probably Bads of Bollywood, which I really thought had some really got comedy right, had some really, really fun moments.
Akshat Verma is in that room, you know it's going to be fun.
And I really thought that despite all the cameos and stuff, they really had some great moments, and despite managing such a big ship.
Why do you say despite all the cameos?
Not despite the cameos, sorry, despite the bigness of it.
Interesting.
Because normally going big means dilution. It means you can see the thing you see on screen that was not what was pitched, that was not what the script was. And to really manage to have that much at your disposal and really still manage to land some really, really fun moments. Or maybe I'm just very sort of cynical about comedy and stuff. But I really thought that show went for it, and it had some really, really great moments.
I think so. And they also had massive cameos. Like what to do with the cameo is a very interesting thing.
Right? For sure.
So on Happy Patel, we have 7, I think, or 6 cameos. Not at that star level, etc., etc.
No Rajamouli and
no Rajamouli, etc., etc. But I hope we've done some cool shit with them.
You brought Imran Khan back on screens. I can't wait for that.
Did we bring Imran Khan back on screen? Who knows?
That would be the greatest gag. He's not in the film.
No, he's in the film. But it's a cool story about how he got to. So Imran messaged me a week before shooting.
Oh wow!
Saying, I believe the narrations are going great and the prep is going great. I heard. Can I cameo?
Wow.
And so I was like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? So he's like, yeah. So I'm like, well, if I do this, it's got to be something really cool. So give me like 2 days, and then I wrote a character for him through the movie.
Oh, damn.
The week before we shot. So
Thank God it's somebody you wanted to work with. What if it was somebody who...
I mean, but you
Yeah.
know, we've been in
Yeah.
the trenches together.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Delhi Belly was me, Roy Kapoor, and Imran in a van, so we're friends. You know, but it's for him, what Imran's done is kind of unhinged, which
Yeah.
is kind of nice.
I can't wait to watch it. I do also want to ask you a bit of a personal therapy question. I'm currently working on a feature on AI in filmmaking, and I'm talking to a lot of artists of the film industry about how it's being adopted. And I'm scared shitless, you know, because it's even the most ethical, sensible people, the amount of guardrails they're imposing on themselves, that it feels like the definition of creativity and imagination is just diluting. And it's never been easier to not try or never, you know, really give it. So do you think it's as bad as it seems across all fields, whether it's sort of stand-up or it's filmmaking or writing? It just feels like a very uncertain time.
I think stand-up's safer
Yeah.
from AI because stand-up is about failure.
Yeah.
And AI is programmed for success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? AI is programmed for results.
Yeah.
And stand-up is about the non-achievement of results. So I
Also, I'm
think-
hoping ChatGPT isn't funny yet.
No, it's not funny.
Oh, thank God.
Right? But there are days when I feel like AI is a lot stupider than we think it is, and this is a massive valuation game.
Yes, please.
And then maybe it'll just be admin at best. I think, you know, I don't have a lot of experience with it, but I do think it may empower some young filmmakers. You know what I mean? Just in terms of
Resources in
the resources, or if they want to add some CGI or some graphic design or some this thing to their first film or to their student film, they now get to do that with AI. But I really don't think it's a replacement that we all think it's going to be. I genuinely don't. Like maybe it's steroids.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, you know how Marvel guys have to do the steroids like
Yeah.
6 months before this thing? Maybe it'll get you the body in 3 months,
Yeah.
but you still got to do the push-ups. You know what I mean? You still got to have the script and all of that stuff.
I'll take
so
the
maybe
hope.
it's steroids.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
that's what it is.
No, I'll very much take the hope because I always try and segregate in my mind between creativity and execution. And I
Yeah.
just feel like people's definitions of those two words don't seem to always be...
Well, there've been 2 or 3 AI projects, right, that have come out 100% AI. Have they tracked?
No. They've been wall-to-wall terrible. But the fear is that will that project 4 months from now, you know, be any better? Or, I mean, or is it anyone making AI slop can't pass it for a film, but if someone is very smart. You know, I was talking to one screenwriter and the idea was that like a great successful writer will not be someone who uses ChatGPT and knows how to make it sound human, like, you know, remove the polishing, which again, very sort of jaded, scary thinking.
It's a thing of you don't want to bastardize your creative voice, you don't want to, you know, etc. But at some point, we all panicked about the printing press as well. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be the last guy with a laser disc player. You know what I mean? Like, at some point, DVDs came in.
Yeah.
And there were guys like, no, laser disc is going to be around forever, etc. You don't want to be
3D
that.
glasses.
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy either.
Yeah.
So I think we'll have to find our balance with it, man. You know.
Just to end, I wanted to ask you for a few predictions.
Okay.
We haven't talked about stand-up at all. But it just seems like to be a very interesting time and exciting time for the Indian comedy scene.
Yeah.
You have more Indian artists traveling the world than ever before, which is very exciting. You have these massive acts coming here. I've also talked to a lot of comics, and there does also seem to be this idea of a star system that's formed, and it also feels hard.
In stand-up?
Where, and I've spoken to comics about this, the idea that it's arguably harder than ever, which may or may not be a good thing, to stand out, you know, to that pipeline, because there were sort of these platforms like Comic Stand and stuff, that pipeline to going from my first open mic to try and, you know, increase that. So where, and not to even talk about all the creepy outrage stuff. So if you had to make a prediction of where things are going, say a year from now or 2 years from now for the Indian comedy scene, what gives you hope? What concerns you?
Well, I think for the star system, the first thing I'll say is, in any other profession, success guarantees longevity.
Yeah.
Right? In stand-up, it does not.
Yeah.
That's the lovely thing about my job, is you could headline, you know, Habitat or The Dome or Kakku Club or this thing, and bomb tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, one bad reel
Yeah.
is all you need. One bad video is all you need, and you're done. And by the way, you can recover with jokes about that one bad reel a following week from now. So the success, longevity stuff, Hindi comedy is even tougher.
Yeah.
Because the next guy is always around the corner. There's a new Hindi comic popping every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very competitive. But in that sense, it's very democratic, right?
And this place for everyone.
And this place for every man. You know, Zakir did Albert Hall. I'm doing it on April 1st.
Yeah.
The Venn diagrams will intersect a little bit,
Yeah.
but otherwise they'll be completely different audiences.
Yeah, yeah.
I do think, I keep saying this, but if you look at what's happening in America, stand-up is punk rock.
Okay.
That's really what it is. It's punk rock. It's not pop. And in America, for a little bit, stand-up became pop. Every presidential candidate was on a comedian's podcast. It kind of became this straight white America pop machine thing. And then interesting voices get kind of dabawed.
Yeah.
I don't know if a Trevor Noah would have popped today in America like he popped when he popped.
Interesting.
you
Okay.
know. So, with Indian comedy, I hope it stays punk rock.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't become pop.
Yeah.
You know, because that's when there'll be interesting voices always. You know.
You mentioned America, and this reminded me of something. Is it true that with the massive success of Zoran Mamdani, for the SNL sort of take on him, they went to Rami Youssef, but you auditioned for that?
I didn't audition for it. We
Okay.
all got calls.
Okay.
But then if there's a brown role in
Yeah, yeah.
America, 5 of us are getting a call anyway.
Who's on this list? It's you, Hassan.
Riz,
Okay.
Kunal Nair.
Okay.
I lost
And Nimesh Patel.
Nimesh Patel.
Yeah.
I lost Tenet to him. for
Okay.
instance. Like
Okay.
there's a.
Yeah, I know you're talking
Do you know what I'm
about.
talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
Himmat.
Himesh Patel.
Himesh Patel. There you go.
Very
Right.
good talented actor.
Very good
Yeah,
talent.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So there's 5 of us. Who, like.
Do you have a WhatsApp group? Did you get a call? Did you get
No,
a call?
but like, and these are good guys. Like, Inarritu's new film is coming out with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a role in there.
Yeah.
5 of us audition.
Yeah, yeah.
We all lost it to Riz Ahmed, right? So that's a.
So this is dramatic, comedic, everything, the entire spectrum of roles. Wow. Okay.
Pretty much.
Okay.
But I think, working there requires A, being able to act in English in a natural way.
Yep.
And B, having some sort of familiarity within American audience.
Yeah.
That they know who you are.
Yeah.
Ali is definitely on that list.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. That Inarritu audition sucked. I was like, finally I was like, who got it? And they were like, Riz Ahmed. And I was like, all right, that's fine.
Again, what a cool sentence. Like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Also, what a great group to be a part of. Like some insane talents. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm the shortest guy on that group from Noida, and I'm the comedian on that group. So I'm very happy to be on that group.
Speaking of that, just to close, you talk about in the book the first time you were on stage. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is when you're in boarding school.
Yeah.
And it's I can't remember the name of the competition. It was words for.
What's the good word?
What's the good word?
Yeah.
You said that this is the first time you met an audience and the first time you felt what that could mean and what that felt like. If that kid could see you today, what do you think he would think or say?
I think we're very different here. Like that kid was arrogant.
Okay.
If there's one thing my journey has been, it's discovering the power of an audience.
Yeah.
Really, I say this everywhere I go, but I don't know if I told this to you the last time, but my favorite moment of a stand-up comedy show or a film, even when we're doing these screenings, is when the lights go down and you hear this thing, and somebody takes a phone and they shuffle through it and all of that stuff. It's not, ladies and gentlemen, Veer Das. It's not music starting, etc.,
It's the
etc.
anticipation?
It's that.
Okay.
Because if you ever hear 12,000 people shuffle and settle, you realize they got Ubers, they got babysitters, they bought the seat they couldn't afford, they maybe bought the only seat they could afford, they had choices, they traveled, they flew, and the pedestal is theirs. And somehow you have to pull this trick of telling them things they want to hear while weaving in things you want to say, without it ever being indulgent or pandering. But my journey has been from, I belong on this stage and this stage is home. And by the way, stage is home.
Yeah.
I'm completely at home on a stage, but you are here for me to, I'm here for you. That's been the journey of my career. So I very much would not want to be the comedian I was when I first started. I wouldn't want to be the guy I was when I first started, because I didn't understand how powerful an audience is. And for you to realize that, they have to truly embrace you and then abandon you a couple of times, and then embrace you again, and you will be very humbled by an audience.
The problem with you is I could happily talk to you for many more hours, but unfortunately we can't do that. But thank you for this, and I truly mean this. I cannot wait for the film. I can't wait for the shows.
Listen, man, I hope you enjoy the film. Like I said, it's a week to be humble.
Yeah.
It's Kavi and my first movie. It is incredibly silly. It's incredibly stupid. What I can tell you is this: whether it's good or not is entirely in your hands, the audience. You won't see another one like this. So
That's what I was going to say.
if it's good or bad, I don't know. You will not see another film like this one. We went for it.
I thought of what you said about the costume designer.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of that these people don't know if they'll ever work on something like this again, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
But no, thank you, and I can't wait for the shows, the film, the YouTube shows, and as I said, the other things which I'm sure you have up in the air that we don't know
Very
about.
much so.
But
Very much so.
thank you.
Thank you, man. This was fun. Hi, my name is Veer Das. You can watch me on The Hot Take on Hook.